It is early, where at least it is early where I am at. So I'm not really expecting anybody to be up with me. But if you are up with me, welcome on in. I will hopefully not forget to greet you guys when you drop on in here. But nonetheless, so of course this has been requested. So we are going to be taking a look at Danny Masterson's chart. Now, if you are not aware who Danny Masterson is, he was on that 70's show. Now, this is a show or a sitcom that I really didn't, to be honest, I really didn't watch a lot of because it just did not pique my interest. I mean, that's kind of just like where I was at on that particular instance. But either way, Danny Masterson has been sentenced to 30 years in prison. I believe there is a possibility of parole for this particular case, but I've seen different outlets where some say that there isn't a possibility for parole since he's been sentenced to 30 to life. Others have saying that there is a possibility of parole. So I'm trying to bring up a article so we can kind of skim a little bit for those of you that are not up to date on the Danny Masterson situation. And it's so interesting how I woke up this morning and one of you requested for me to do this particular chart because right before I saw that comment, I was actually thinking about doing the chart of Ashton Kutcher. I was taking a little bit of a skim through his chart and just looking at a few of the aspects that he has. And right off of the bat, when I was looking at Ashton's chart, it definitely came across that he is definitely a thinker, someone who knows what to say, you know, in the heat of the moment, or someone who just knows what to say in a manner to get ahead. He does have that moon in Aquarius, so that does make sense why he kind of is moving towards or pushing towards um, issues dealing with humanity, but that may not necessarily be what he actually believes in because his moon is actually in a degree where it has ties to evilness or rubbing arms with evil people. So it kind of makes me think of someone that who can carry out the duties or carry out the task for said people to get something for their benefit. Because also, with his moon being on this particular degree, it can make one self-centered, selfish, self-absorbed. All those adjectives can go into play when we are talking about the moon of Ashton Kutcher. Again, like I said, this was just what I was looking at. And he also has, by the way, I know I'm not showing you guys chart, but I'm just trying to give you a little bit of a rundown. But he also has Saturn in Leo on a degree that ties with humanity, humanitarian like issues or humanitarian causes. And I've said before how Saturn kind of highlights things that you're going to do whenever you get of age. And that pretty much is what he's doing. Now, whether I believe that or not, that's not up to me because a part of me doesn't really necessarily believe it, but it is what it is. But that's just my opinion on the matter. So I'm really trying to find this article, and the news is overrun with articles about how Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis wrote letters in support of Danny Masterson. Like that's everywhere, and I'm just trying to find an article where it's going to pull up the details of the matter when it comes to him being sentenced to 30 years in prison. But it's just Ashton Kutcher, and Mila wrote letters. I mean, and again, this may be part of that energy that I was talking about that is kind of illuminating from Ashton Kutcher's moon of him kind of like rubbing arms, rubbing elbows with evil people, or he himself may be that evil person. Maybe. Who knows? Oh boy. I mean, I'm on page 8 and still nothing, people. Where is it? I mean, it is overrun. Okay, 30. Let me see. Let me try to get a little bit more. Here we go. Ugh, found it. I just have to put in the right thing on Google. So let me go back so I can share my screen. Anyway, here we go. All right. So this is the basis that we're at when it pertains to this whole case. Okay. Again, like I said, if you're not caught up with it, then we're just going to go down a little bit of it and then we'll roll on over into the chart, because just based off of the charts that I've been looking at, I would say, oh my God, I found his chart interesting. But in my opinion, I mean, I guess I don't really find it super interesting, because for me, people are going to be who they are. So whenever I see people's charts and it's just like that particular aspect is a little bit concerning, I don't really blink. I don't really bat an eye, because I hold space for the fact that people are going to disappoint you, and that's just what it is. So it doesn't really shock me, bother me, any of those things. It doesn't. It is what it is. But anyway, so as you can see by the title, that 70 show actor Masterson sentenced to 30 years to life in prison for, the raping of two women. Okay. So, oh my God, it's this stupid video that's trying to load. But anyway, so Danny Masterson was sentenced on Thursday for this heinous act of two women, and said that the Church of Scientology sought to protect the actor and intimidate them into silence. Now, these are the women who said that. Now, the actor and prominent Scientologist, which we know, I mean, that may even be an interesting read as well. But then again, that might have to be maybe behind a wall if we're talking about that particular aspect of quote unquote religion. But he is a prominent Scientologist who starred in the TV comedy. See, it's these stupid videos. Who starred in the TV comedy, which is That 70's Show, for 8 seasons until 2006, and he was convicted in May in a second trial. So that is pretty much I guess it's a little bit of a breakdown. I didn't want to go into the entire um, I didn't want to go into the entire article, because, that could take a minute, going into charges and stuff like that, and talking about how the jury deliberated and where the jury was at and the victims and stuff like that. I mean, that would probably be a cool video to do if I was just breaking down or going over, you know, um, lawsuits or celebrities pretty much getting in trouble, justice coming to their doorstep. That would probably be a cool video to do if that was just the basis of my channel. But since we are here, we are talking about astrology, numerology, and using tarot, when we feel like it, that's where we're at. So I went ahead and cast a chart for Danny. There is no birth time in the system for him, and I actually will show this tab in case you guys didn't see a picture. Here he is right here in the bottom right. Okay, Daniel Peter, aka Danny. Of course, I didn't know he was a disc jockey. I did not know that. But famous for his, or known for his role as Stephen High in That 70's Show. Okay, he doesn't. I mean, I don't know how long his resume is, but it doesn't really seem like he has that extensive resume. So let's go back to the chart that I made so that we can have some type of a housing system going on here. So Danny is a Pisces, in case you did not know. Okay. But so as you see, he has Sun in Pisces, which is pretty close to his midhaven in Pisces, but that's not necessarily where I want to start. I want to start here with the day that he was born. So he was born on the 13th, and if we break that down, numerological speaking, it would break down to the number 4. Now, oddly enough, I was talking about his sun in Pisces, and the number 4 is tied to the energy of the sun. Number 1, number 4, energy of the sun, but also the number 4 is tied to the energy of Aries. So I'm going to pull out my handy dandy astro and numerology guide, because I like to give a breakdown on this, just on a foundational standpoint, in terms of how being born on this certain day, or how being born tied to this particular planet, can affect you? Just on a foundational standpoint, like I said, without even checking any type of degrees, housing systems, signs, any of that. Okay. Um, so here we are. So this is where we're at. My astrology and numerology guy, it'll load in a minute. But right here, Aries number 4, Sun. Okay. So the highlights tied to this particular energy is someone who can be very disciplined. Okay. Now, disciplined, if we take into account that the sun energy is rolled into this, we can say this is someone who is very disciplined when it comes to possibly controlling their ego or just egocentric things. At least that is the persona that you want to give off. Now, we know your personality is tied to the moon, but I'm using persona in this particular instance because I feel it fits. Then we have boundaries. So it makes me think of somewhat of like a bodyguard. I'm not saying actual bodyguards, but in this instance, when it pertains to the sun and the boundaries, it kind of comes across like you are your own bodyguard. Like you don't allow people to get too close to you because, you just don't allow that to happen. Now, if someone does, you may they it may be to the point where if someone does get close to you when it pertains to these, I would say boundaries, it could be one of those things where it may be a person where you just know for sure that they are not possibly going to blab or they're not going to, I guess, snitch on you, whatever it is. So in a way, it kind of makes me feel like you bring in people that probably admire you or fawn over you. Those people are going to respect your boundaries in a way they may even kind of like do whatever you want them to do because of the fact they are in the rulership of the sun. They are admiring the light of the sun. Whereas you or somebody else, if you're not really phased by the light of the sun, it doesn't make you fall weak to your knees. They're not going to pay you any mind because and this is just my opinion, and maybe this is just specifically for him. It feels like drawing people in that can be of detriment to you. Like I said, where they're not going to blab, they're not going to do anything outside of what you want them to do, at least for some time. At least maybe, this could go along for however long they are in fear or in detriment of the sun until it gets to that point where they are ready to break away from the sun and they're ready to remove themselves from underneath the rays of the sun. Then that could be the period whenever they wake up and they realize that your boundaries or their boundaries that was set in motion for this particular connection were not healthy. So now you're waking up and you're just like, wow, that's not right. Wow, that wasn't acceptable. So it's one of those situations, and I haven't looked at any of the other people's charts that have been accused of these particular type of acts, like Bill Cosby, R. Kelly. I haven't looked to see if they have that same type of sun influence, because if they do, this may make sense as to why the victims wake up years later, because that is the time whenever they are falling away from the rays of the sun. They're not afraid anymore to be burned, because we know if a planet comes too close to the sun, you're going to be overpowered. You're going to be overtaken by that strong solar influence. And that could even possibly be kind of like the situation that happens there in instances if we're talking about victims. So a lot of people could be yapping their mouth and yada yada yada, all that good stuff, talking about, why now? It was 30 years later. Well, you don't know the time when somebody is going to be released from those rays, from that solar energy. Because solar energy is mesmerizing, it's warm, it's feely feel, but like I said before, it also can be too hot, it can be damaging. So maybe in some sort of way, you could say if these particular individuals had this strong solar influence, they knew exactly who to pick on. But I've said that you hear that a lot from people around the world where they're just like, oh, they know exactly who to F with and who to not. Solar influence, maybe in some sort of a way. But to continue with these highlights, loyalty. And I actually wasn't even realize what I was reading until I just read loyalty. But that goes back into what I was just talking about just a few seconds ago. You're going to pick the people that are in a way going to have that undying loyalty to you. So in that sense, it works out well for, unfortunately, people that commit these type of, crimes, because right here, you, and even with this four energy, and I'm not saying what I'm explaining doesn't mean is supposed to be bad, but it can be depending on the person. So with this particular type of solar influence, it makes me think of, it could be someone that even in a way tries to test your loyalty. And testing your loyalty can mean a whole bunch of things. Can mean maybe doing quite a few things that you may not necessarily be so proud of once you remove yourself from underneath the solar rays. Then we have security. Sometimes it can be a false sense of security if your loyalty is needing to be tested to see how far can I take you. Because again, there's the highlight here of discipline. The sun energy or this four energy. Now, this is only pretty much tied to the number four. As you can see, if we scroll back up to the number one, which is also tied to the sun, they are not as the one energy is not as disciplined as the four energy. The four energy gives me that because the sun exalts in Aries. Okay, so this discipline type of energy kind of gives me that sternness, straight face type can kind of be a little bit unmoved, unfazed in a way, maybe even to the point where you may even wonder, do you even care? Do you even care? It could go to that particular extremity, I guess, depending on the situation. And security, so like I said, well, we know what security is. Protection, even if we're talking about solar influence, think about how bright the sun is. So when you think about it, when you come underneath those rays, your automatic, mind probably goes to, oh, this person can protect me. You're going to protect me, or they give you that false sense of security that they will protect you, that they will use the exaltation of the sun to protect you in the best way. Then we have determination. Now, determination also is included in the number one energy as well. See, this one is relentless determination. This is just determination. Okay. This one, I would say for the number four, to me, this one doesn't have relentless determination because I don't think that this number four energy is as pressed to be seen as a leader or is as pressed to be seen in a particular light. And a lot of it is, again, because that number one energy doesn't have that disciplinary undertone to it. So, four energy right here is just like, what, I'm not really concerned about that leadership and all that, ridiculous amount of ambition that the number one energy has. It doesn't bother me because I know my time will come. That's the discipline of the nature when it pertains to this number four energy. Okay. Now, with number four, I mean, of course, number four, number one, whenever they're determined to get something, they're going to get it. Okay, same thing would be said here in this instance. Whenever, whatever it is that the sun sticks its light on, whatever it is that they want, they're likely going to get it. I would hope so. Okay, some people don't live up to the hype, unfortunately. So, what are the challenges here when it pertains to number four energy? Now, you have someone who can be complacent, who can be very resistant to change. But remember, I talked about that up here when it goes into the fact of this can be someone where they may even possibly go to extreme, maybe methods sometimes, depending on the person, to test your loyalty because loyalty is a big thing for them. um I mean, maybe again, this is just my opinion. There's a little bit of dominatrix, I guess, dominant type of energy. I don't know why. It feels very, if you do this, I'll reward you type of thing. Now, it could, I mean, of course, it depends on the sign that the sun is in, but for some reason, it just rings uh, that this is the case in a way. Okay. You also have a tendency to struggle, and this energy can be very melancholy, aka boring. But I kind of was saying that anyway, they don't have that type of fire in a way. They do, but not really. It's very dormant as opposed to this one energy up here that's tied to Capricorn. Because this one energy tied to Capricorn, the inquisitive nature takes over, the self motivation take over, the energy of always wanting to go in a new direction. Okay, all that, all that stuff takes over. Whereas Aries, you're just laying there, a little bit. I don't know if Aries are boring. I mean, I have an Aries sister, but I guess I haven't really paid enough attention to it. I guess she's exciting in her own way. I guess I don't know. It's just not on my bucket list to pay attention to. um, but anyway, so oh, I have an Aries aunt as well. You know what? Now that I think about it, maybe sometimes it comes across a little bit pushy, like they're trying to be exciting or they're trying to be the one that throws a punchline. It's just maybe sometimes they may try a little hard, maybe. But that's just on my side, based off of now that I think about it and I think about how they are and how I've always known them to be. I'm not necessarily saying that that makes them, super bad, but anyway, so the lessons here with the Aries or number 4 energy is take responsibility for your actions, which can be a thing. And that can be the thing whenever the sun is in a sign where it is exalted. You can get ahead of yourself. You can get ahead of yourself in a manner of, um, in your mind saying, I was just doing what I thought was right. I was doing for the best of you. I was trying to save you. I was trying to do this. You come up with every excuse under the book as to why your actions are justified. So a lack of responsibility would be a challenge that I'm probably gonna have to add later. Because the lesson, of course, is to take responsibility for your actions, own up to it. Because a lot of times that is all you need to do. Just own up to your mistakes, own up to whatever you did, and you can just deal with the consequences later. It doesn't mean that the consequences are always going to be so bad. Now, you're still going to have some sort of punishment because you did what you did and you know better. But some of the heat can be taken off of that punishment if you would just say, I did it, I was wrong. It was not even really a lapse in judgment. It was a complete stupid decision that I thought I would get away with. Let's be honest. If you want to be that honest about it, be that honest about it because that's going to work in your favor. And maybe that could be because maybe in a way, maybe it could just be maybe people don't really expect you to kind of like be honest. So that blunt honesty can be very refreshing. And that's why I said sometimes the consequences may not even have any at all. Because it's just like, wow, that was very refreshing, Aries sun or number 4 energy, for you to take accountability like that. Wow. It could be. And then the other lesson here is allow yourself to be happy with life. I talked about it in an energy update reading that I probably did, maybe last week, no, maybe early this week, on the cardinal energies. I said, when is it ever going to be enough? This is exactly what I'm talking about. Allowing yourself to be happy with life means also that you have to accept that you're not going to be able to have everything, everyone, all the time. Sometimes it is okay to just be okay with being okay. It doesn't mean you're settling. You're just being okay with where you're at. You're being grateful for what you have in that particular moment. So, for energy or people born on the 4th, the 13th, or the 22nd, they may have the issues when it comes to this, when it comes to allowing themselves to just be happy, which can make, which essentially can make it difficult to be in relationships with them. People get burnt out, people get tired. And you see, I said 4, 22, 13. I didn't necessarily put this on all Aries placement, on all Aries zodiac sign people, because that's just not reality of the situation. And Aries may be very good in relationships. They may be very good at, taking accountability or however we want to see it. But I'm specifically talking about 4 energy people. Okay. So we took a look at that. So we're back here, hopefully. Oh, I removed my screen. Where'd it go? Okay. Oh, here we go. Nope, that's not the one I want to look at. Oh, here it is. All right. So Back on Danny's birth chart. So here we are. So now that we've kind of took a look at Danny's four energy, now let's take a look at his sun because that is the ruler of the day that he was born. Sun rules the day. Okay. So I hope you guys download that app that I talked to you about. You what was it called? Planet Astro. I forgot the name of it. I have my Planetario. Planet Ario, Terrio, whatever. It's really good when we're talking about rulership, hours, days, stuff like that. So, with his son being the ruler of his day, this can be good for self expression, creativity, career success, not surprising there, employment, promotion, making presentations like a salesman, public speaking, improving one's social status, improving health, advertising. So there are sun hours, there are sun days. I mean, the adjectives that describe the sun days, sun hours are the same. So that's what I was saying before when I told you guys you should look into this app. It can be really good, like I said, when it comes to getting career success, asking for a promotion, buying a car. It can be a good tool for you to know good times for you to have the talk when it comes to people that you are in difficult relationships with. Because definitely with sun ruled hours, sun ruled day, asking your boss for a raise in the hour of the sun is a positive. Okay. Um, but anyway, so now we kind of like took a look at that. Let's go on over and let's start with the deacons of the sun. So Danny's sun is at 23 degrees Pisces. And I believe the 23rd degrees is tied to Aries. Imagine that. So let's look at the deacons. So his sun should be on the third degree deacon because, as I said yesterday, and I'm going to keep saying it, 20 to 29 degrees is situated on the third deacon of any sign. Now, the rulership of that deacon is going to change depending on the sign that it's in, but nonetheless, the deacon degree doesn't change. So let's go down to Pisces. Pisces deacon 3, which is 20 degrees to 29 degrees, is ruled by Pluto. Now, Sun Pluto can definitely be an aspect where it can talk about power, could talk about control. I mean, even if you just take out the definitions of Pluto or Sun, just think about the mythology story, the Greek mythology story of Apollo, Hades. Gods, they have power. Pluto has undeniable power, of course, with Hades being the ruler of the underworld. Okay. Apollo has power as well. So, or was it God Apollo or I don't even remember what his thing is. You know how Aries is God of War. I don't remember what Apollo's thing is. We haven't went over that story yet, which is I know I'm gonna get to it, people. But look, I'm on a streak in terms of doing these lives consistently. So who knows how long you guys got me. And I might fall off the face of the earth, not really the face of YouTube for like a couple months and then we be back. So you got me while I'm here. So enjoy it. um, but anyway, with this deacon being ruled by Pluto, this can be one that is tied to being persistent, being impressionable, empathetic, a good listener, love a challenge. So immediately whenever I saw persistent, impressionable, empathetic, in a way, especially with his son being in Pisces, spirituality. So it kind of makes me in a way, and I wonder if his son is in the ninth house. It might be. Oh, would you imagine that? His son is in the ninth house. This makes me think of a preacher, a religious leader. Okay. So that could be in a way how he comes across maybe more times than not if we're just talking about meeting people whatever. So he may come across very preachy-ish, kind of like trying to cast out your demons, but really you have the whole underworld sitting on your back, you know. But people don't see that because maybe in a way you have mastered how to hide it in plain sight. And helping you hide this is your empathetic nature, but it could be false. Remember that number four energy can create a false sense of security because I'm trying to test your loyalty and see what's going to make you crack, or to see if you're not going to crack at all and you are going to be loyal to me. Now, if they come, if this four energy, the number four energy, if they come across someone that can withstand the test that they put them through, but also can be someone where now the roles are reversed and now you end up being into the detriment of them, this person will probably never leave you alone. Because that number four energy kind of gives me somebody where they kind of want to be with someone that mirrors them, maybe to the T or to, yeah, exact. So maybe, or maybe even someone who could do their dirty work, because again, they want to see how far can they take it? How far will you go? So if you can go far, if a lot of stuff may not necessarily seem to phase you, then the number four person born on the 4th, the 13th, or the 22nd, they probably will never leave you alone. Hence, maybe even turning them into a little bit of a stalker because you have stood in the sun and you have shown I don't care about getting burned, number one, but at the same time, I can burn you. That is something that the sun is not used to. The sun is not used to coming up against someone who is as hot as he is or as solar as he is. So, can you imagine the son meeting somebody like that? He ain't never going to let you go or leave you alone. It's going to be irritating. Even if you try to remove yourself from the relationship, they won't stop. Or he, she, doesn't matter. They won't stop. But anyway, so with him having that sun in the ninth house, that empathetic, that being a good listener, etc., that can definitely be something that it gives very, I mean, I hate to say it, it almost gives me very leader of a clan. You know the clan. Not that clan, but I'm just using it as an example. He could be. It could be that deep. It could run that deep because the ninth house also is our godlike complex. So you may have someone, cult leader, leader of a clan. You may have someone that always wants people to be in detriment of them. They will put you through task. So maybe even to the point, this could even be someone that could even start their own, maybe religion or something like that. But they get you in through the door through their empathetic way. But also at the same time, if we remove maybe like relationships or anything like that off of the table, they probably can be a dang good listener if we're talking about on a friendship basis. They probably can be someone that has a lot of knowledge or maybe knows a lot of people, but then again, the people that they know, have the people fallen victim to the false sense of security that the sun has created to get them to trust them, and now you're in detriment to me. So you have to do what I tell you to do. But I pretty much played you. I played you to get what I wanted because I know that you have something that I'm going to need. We do, and I wouldn't even be surprised if, because I can see like maybe the ninth, I don't know why, maybe in some sort of way, the ninth house kind of makes me think of like lawyer, lawsuits. It may be even to that extreme. High powerful lawyers, high powerful people that have high powerful lawyers. So maybe even to the point where you may not even find yourself paying for representation because you, the son, can go to people that are in detriment of you because you you set them up in a way to where they have to be in detriment to you. They have to be at your beck and call. That is the way that you set it up. Now, it doesn't mean that it's all bad because, one may not even realize that they do this. So you could definitely be very empathetic. You can be all those adjectives that were in the deacon. You can be all those things. And you don't, you are not aware that you are coming across this particular way. But it still can work out in your favor because you know who to call. Like, oh my God, I'm like kind of in trouble. So it can work either way. It can work in a way where people end up coming to your beck and call because you're a good person and they're just like, wow, you always been stand-up citizen, model citizen. You've always been there to listen to me, be a good friend, and you've done it genuinely. I would do anything for you. And then you have that other side where you have set them up in a manner where they have to be at your beck and call because you may have something on them that keeps them locked in to the point where if I call, you better pick up because if you don't pick up, I've got something for you that you're not going to want to see. And it may come in the form of, who knows, abuse, psychological warfare, torture, blackmail, all those things. Okay. So let's take a look at, where is it? Now, let's shift gears a little bit and let's take a look and see if his sun is situated on a fixed star. Now, I'm concentrating so much on Danny's son in case you just popped in here because this is the ruler of the day he was born. This is his energetic footprint, along with his fourth house, which is your root chakra that's on the ground. That is your foundational house to me. I say sometimes that the fourth house to me can really show you who that person is, not who this person portrays themselves to be or wants you to think who they are, because the fourth house is your home. People are who they are at home. That's their unwind spot. So, they may show their ass at home. Think about kids. That's a great example. Think about your kids. Get home. It's like all the bets are out the window. Like, what the hell? You were just fine. You were just acting like a model citizen outside. What the hell's going on? They're at home. They're comfortable. So they're going to show you who they are. Not everybody, because some people have a strong fourth house and they are who they are outside, inside. It don't really change. Okay? But that's good. You want to keep those people around because at least you know where you stand. But anyway, so on to the fixed star energy. So we're going to scroll down to Pisces and we're going to take a look at the degree and see if there's a fixed star associated with it. So 23 Pisces, where are you? Slowly getting there. Would you look at that? Exact, exact, exact. It couldn't get any more exact than this because his sun is on 23 degrees, 15 seconds, and this fixed star is situated on 23 degrees, 29 seconds. So we are there. I don't think we've really had, maybe we've had a few be exact, but this one is Marcabe. I think that's how you say it. But as you can see, it's associated with violence, honors, and riches. The star of sorrow, literary, legal problems, accidents. Now, would you look at that? The ruler of your day that you were born, it is fixated on a star that shows that at some point you are probably going to have legal problems in the ninth house, as I've talked about, of legal issues, legal things. Okay. Not to mention violence. Well, I just talk about that blackmail situation. When I talk about that false insecurity, I need to test your loyalty. So I mean, it probably has already came out, but you would probably be surprised the people who have loyalty to this person. But it's all a part of the plane of that four energy. Because also the sun is making an aspect to Saturn. And that right there makes me think very father figure, father energy. I hate to say it, is giving grand wizard vibes, but I could be totally off basis with that. I do want to talk about Saturn in the first house as well. But yes, Sun. It looks like Sun is making an aspect to the ascendant as well. It's kind of hard because these lines they just run, on top of one another. Sun is making an aspect to Mars in the 12th house. Now I've talked about 12th house is our subconscious. Okay. 12th house is also, like I've said before, your bed pleasures. It's also your hidden enemies. So for some reason it gives me, because that Sun Mars is that's a very strong energy in this instance because of Mars being in the 12th house, a very sexual energy, probably a sexual energy that you should be ashamed of in some sort of a way. But this is all a part of you testing the boundaries to see how far You can push people. And it doesn't have to be in terms of sex. It can be in terms of psychological things. You're trying to psychologically get inside these people's minds to pick them apart, maybe even to see in what way I could possibly manipulate you. And you're aggressive about it. But anyway, where was I at? Oh. Let's read the degree for the sun, the definition of the degree. I'm actually going to go to my old degree book. Again, this resource is on my website, so you guys can download it as well. So let's read the in full definition of the 23 degree of Pisces. Where to go? Okay, so Pisces 23rd degree says under a dark sky enlightened by a moon crescent and a flash of lightning, two men are wrestling. It's kind of weird. I was about to say with this sun Mars energy, I was going to say this kind of gives me very 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 masculine energy, very dominant energy, but you may try to portray it as a quiet dominance, but nonetheless it's still dominance. Anyway, and it could be, especially since his Mars is in Gemini. We know Gemini is that witty, and we know Mercury is tied to the intellect. So it could be one of those things where it's like you think you're very clever, don't you? I mean, he could be very clever. I don't know. He could be. But anyway, to continue. Assertive, courageous, and discerning character endowed with physical and intellectual strength. One is free to use one's personal qualities at the service or justice and the collective good, or on the contrary, in the pursuit of reprehensible goals. In both cases, many hurdles and setbacks disrupt one's happiness and success. However, thanks to one's fortitude, one can overcome ordeals with flying colors. It is in the dark hours of the night that danger lurks. Didn't I say obsessive, stalkerish? That if, speaking in terms of victims, who knows how many they were. But like the degree says, it is in the dark hours of the night that danger lurks. The said danger could be you. You could be the one that it's like the boogeyman. Seriously, this energy, when it pertains to Danny Masterson, comes across like the boogeyman or Freddy Krueger. Think about it. Is he the one that pops up in your dreams? So you try not to fall asleep because you definitely are afraid of seeing Freddy Krueger. He's in your subconscious, your worst fears. You die in your dreams, I guess, if that is what he does. I can't remember. I'm not really a scary movie person. However, I know a lot about scary movies. But I think that's how it goes. I know that's just ass backwards. I know. But if I watch a scary movie, I have to probably sleep with the lights on. I'm not gonna lie with you, or have a night light. I'm like that. But for some reason, you don't look away because you kind of like want to know how the dark operates, if that makes sense. Because you just want to be prepared. You know, it may be one of those things. It could simply just be like the boogeyman. Again, since is this is the 12th house of your, like I said, your hidden enemies, it's also a spiritual house as well. So it's spiritual conflict, even in a way. You are maybe in conflict with yourself in a way when it pertains to spiritually speaking, in terms of mind, body, spirit. Those could be three separate things, and they all three are in conflict. So yeah, there's a degree for that. Now, where was I going to go? Oh yes, I will talk about his name in a second because I like to look at that. So let's talk about Saturn in the first house. So he has Saturn in Cancer. By the way, Saturn in Cancer is, well, Saturn is in its detriment in Cancer because Saturn, it is at home in Capricorn and Aquarius. So Cancer is Capricorn's, as you can see, sister sign. They're right across from each other. These two, not saying they don't get along, but you know how sisters bicker. Imagine if you grew up with a sister close in age, okay? Especially, you know, of course we know older, younger, whatever, cat fight. Okay. Think about it. get into a fight, you're wearing my clothes. You just so happen to think the boy that I think is cute, all that stuff, that sisterly stuff that you want to kill each other over, but you just so happen to share a room. you know, I hate it here. That may make you want to run away in a sense. So Saturn is in his detriment in Cancer. Okay. So, but naturally speaking, I believe Saturn is it exalted in Aries or is Libra? It may be in Libra. It's not Aries. I think it's in fall in Aries, detriment in Aries. Let me check. Okay, yeah. Saturn is at fall in Aries, is in detriment in Cancer, is exalted in Libra. Okay, which is kind of like what I was thinking. Where was I going? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about um Saturn being in the first house, specifically since his ascendant is on Cancer. And hold on, there was something else that I need to mention first before we look at this. Where'd it go? Pull it back up. Okay, so with Saturn being in his ascendant, meaning with Saturn being in the first house, this can be a placement where this person can struggle to look you in the eye whenever they are talking to you. They are usually, or their glance ends up being directed at the ground. Now, this also can create someone who can be very serious in movements and just very serious in just their demeanor overall. So sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to be around this type of energy because it may seem like they're being a little bit of a party pooper because they just want to take everything serious. Now, on the good end, with Saturn being in the first, it can make somebody who can be very patient, who likes meditation, who can be someone who contemplates over their decisions before they make them, very economical, or someone who saves their money. But also, with Saturn being in the first house, it can make someone very religious. Would you look at that? We've been talking about it. Now, if the influence is bad, now in this instance, the influence is kind of detrimental because his Saturn is in detriment. So, with that being said, this can turn those positive, beautiful traits, and this can turn someone into being a very unhappy, maybe uninteresting, unmoved, miserable, stubborn, mean, or cold hearted. It can turn into this particular type of person if Saturn is ill aspected or is not having any good aspects, or in this instance, it is in its detriment. Okay? Because we know Saturn is about limits. It's about restraining yourself, or you should be restraining yourself. But in this particular sense, when it pertains to him, now he may be able to restrain himself in all other aspects of the world, but possibly he struggles to restrain himself in the confines of Cancerian things, women, aka because Cancer, moon, women, but also Cancer, family, you know? Um, but anywho, so moving on over. So to piggyback off of the rest of this when it comes to Saturn being in the first house in Cancer, it also can make someone influential, especially again when it pertains to Cancerian things. Now, if you guys look at the book of rulership and you go down to Cancer, there's a lot of stuff that is tied to Cancer. Okay, so it can be a lot of things. This also can be a good placement for um doing business, earning wealth. Hence, like I said, with the with the energy, it can make one economical. So you are being, well, it may seem like you're being cheap, but you're just, you're just being mindful about what you're spending your money on. Now, another thing here is with Saturn being in the first house, again, since it is in the sign of Cancer, which is tied to women, which is tied to family, it can make one maybe even revengeful or maybe even showing their wrathful or angry side with their spouse, partner, whomever it is. And also, this can be a placement where you are using dubious tactics to get what you want sexually, which can be a problem. Maybe have a loss of father. A father may not necessarily really be that interested, or you yourself as a father, whatever, may not be that interested. It also can bring worry, anxiety, all those things, but still, you can have success and progression when it pertains to your chosen occupation. Now we know Cancer again is the moon. Moon is tied to the public, so we can say you can have success and progress in your occupation that deals with the public, more so one that caters to women. So I guess trying to think you're the dream, whatever, dream boy, dream girl, however. But we can't forget Saturn in the first house makes you think of somebody who's a wanderer. But also with him, with his Cancer ascendant being brought into play, it makes you very selfish, very careless. But also, because I believe Cancer is tied to politics, I think it's the lower government, like city council or senator, maybe something like that. So you can have gains in Republic, but that's the thing. Remember, we were talking about that for energy. You can come across as the politician. You could even possibly be in bed with politicians, some that we probably wouldn't even, we would be like, what the hell are you doing talking to this man? He himself may think that he is somewhat of a politician, or his speech or what he says to maybe specifically women comes across in a very political type of way. Who knows if maybe he had aspirations of possibly running for office, which would be crazy. But that would not necessarily be a good thing because, again, if we go back to me talking about his influence of the sun, it makes me think of somebody where you would definitely use your office for dubious things. I have a Bill Clinton situation again on our hands. It may be to that particular type of extreme. So thank God that you're not a politician. Okay. So let's go and take a look and see if his Saturn is on a fixed star. His Saturn is retrograde, so problems with father, could be loss of father possibly at an early age, or just estranged from your father. He may be living next door to you. It could be that on that type of time. So what is the degree? It is Cancer, 26 degrees. I think the 26 degrees is tied to Taurus. But either way, where is it? Almost there. Oh yeah, I think the 26 degrees does have a fixed star on it. Uh-huh. Yep, here it is. I don't know how you say that. Procyon, I believe. Oh, look, another fixed star tied to violence. Violence, sudden success, then disaster, occult. Didn't I just talk about politics? Politics, dissipation. Very unfortunate energy here. And it is interesting that, his Saturn is in the first house of the face. You are ruined. Your reputation is ruined, at least possibly when it pertains to the public. Because remember, like I said, we don't necessarily know how many people have fallen under his solar energy and have been duped or have been manipulated into supporting him because that's the way that he set it up. Now let's go and look at the deacon that his Saturn energy is on. So we know already, since his Saturn is on a late degree, we know that it is going to be on the third deacon of Cancer. So the third deacon of Cancer is ruled by Neptune. Fogginess, gas, spirits, spirituality, creativity, astrology. you So the third deacon of Cancer is creative, imaginative, a daydreamer, loyal in relationships, a bit forgetful. Oh, I don't think you're forgetful at all. But It may be forgetful in terms of, you bring someone in under your solar influence and then you discard them, and then you have the freaking nerve to sit up there and say you don't remember them. Oh, yes, you do. Because you had me in an uncompromising position. You don't remember that. You don't remember that. But, these, photos, take photos, you know. But that, that's just my opinion on that particular instance. But I mean, hey, maybe the forgetfulness isn't necessarily an act. Who knows? It could be, was it Alzheimer's? I mean, it could be any type of possibly debilitating, like, I guess, brain disorder or brain something. When it pertains to possibly for the forgetfulness, it is possible. Okay, loyal in relationships. You very much could be loyal in relationships, and the loyalty could rely maybe when it pertains to certain women, or since Saturn is on a Taurian degree, it could be, well, yeah, wife. It could be wealth. You're loyal in relationships whenever you are benefiting from said relationships. Oh yeah, but I wouldn't even be surprised if you turn the corner once the money stops coming, once the funds stop being deposited. You may sing like a canary, possibly. You know, or this could happen to him. He has these relationships, he's loyal in these relationships, and then of course your face is ruined. Then now all of a sudden they don't know you. The Mariah Carey meme, I don't know him. You know, I don't know them. It can literally be like that. And that in turn can really do something to him on a psychological standpoint, because of the fact that his Saturn is situated on a Neptune degree. Psychologically speaking, you don't know what the hell's going on. It's almost like you got to wake up. You have been in a dream, or you'll be feeling like that. Like, wow, I have been in a dream, and now reality is hitting your ass. Now you're starting to see that those people that you were loyal to, they really don't care about you. They forget who you are. It may be as extreme as, oh, I've never had lunch with them. I've never worked with them. And there could be pictures, there could be articles quoted, by this person that says how great of a person you are. But now all of a sudden they don't know you. Imagine what they can do to somebody on a psychological level who's been living in a daydream for an extended period of time. Again, Saturn is coming to collect, because Saturn starts to do that business as you start to get older. And let me go to the little shortened definition of this particular degree. So 26 degrees of Cancer, I believe, is a degree tied to being the teacher or something like that. I mean, I already I haven't read the definition for that, have I? Okay, I'll go back and do it in just a second. Okay. 26 degrees of Cancer, docile, intelligent, endurance. Okay. Um well, we could say maybe the endurance could possibly just be, maybe you holding out. Maybe you holding out in a manner of, this too shall pass, this too will overcome, or you are reassuring people of that. Just hold out, just hold out, just wait, just wait. You're gonna see it. The truth is gonna come to light, and then boom, yeah, the truth came to light. All right, you know. So let me go back to my other PDF so we can read the definition of the 26 degrees. Which, the 26 degree of Cancer is actually a pretty good degree if you use it correctly. If you use it correctly in a manner of, you learn, because with 26 degree Cancer energy, it makes me think of someone who ends up having some sort of a mentor at some point that guides them. And that could definitely be good if we're talking about progression, if we're talking about success, because during that time that you have that mentor, you need to be soaking up all this information that they are giving you so that you can become successful. Because they wouldn't be your mentor if they didn't really believe in what you could do. That's the thing that needs to be taken into account. But you can burn your bridges if you do stupid stuff and fall into the acts of violence, or you fall into occult like practices, the wrong side of occult like practices. Okay. Sacrificing and all that good stuff, that falls into the wrong side of occult. If, well, I mean, maybe I can't really say that, because some cultures probably believe in sacrifice when it pertains to um giving respect back to their gods. But I guess maybe I'm thinking of sacrifice in terms of you're sacrificing to you're sacrificing people, things, to get wealth, and it's not necessarily in a good sense. That's the type of sacrificing I'm thinking about. Not the one where you're sacrificing for your deities or your gods because that is a part of your culture. Not that one. But so Cancer 26 degrees. A man brittles his horse while a heifer bows its head to a woman. Intelligent, obliging, and docile character. Under the guidance of a good employer or a mentor, one's perseverance, helpfulness, and flexibility prove to be formidable assets for success. Didn't I just say it? Mentor. This degree often describes patient and devoted servants. If the natal chart concurs, one may land a high ranking job in the administration or the government. To piggyback off of that, this makes me think of someone who, if they are in some sort of a religion, I don't want to say an errand boy, but they may act like somewhat of an errand boy, or they may, even in under the guise of a negative leader, they could soak all that up because in their mind they're just like, if I just buy my time, this person has promised that they're going to pass over the torch to me, and I am going to be the leader of this cult or a leader of this religion. Maybe that could have possibly happened to him, where he could have came underneath the guise of some sort of mentor or leader, and it may not have necessarily been the most positive type of religion or positive type of leader, but nonetheless he doesn't care because lust for power, selfishness. You're just thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about how it's going to affect the people that have came under you, aka your wife, your children, mother, father, brother. It doesn't matter. So this is, and again, I've said it before in past videos, it gets very Cancer's ability to play the long game gets undermined a lot. And I think that is another side that a lot of people don't understand. A Cancer will play the long game with you if it's worth it. Now, what worth is to them is going to depend on that particular Cancer. But in his particular instance, maybe that's kind of like what he was doing. He's playing the long game. Because even if you are under the leadership of someone who is not that great, who possibly is setting the tone for these dubious acts, you don't care because you admire their power. Or you have pulled this person in under your solar energy and you have tricked them into thinking that you can be trusted. But then, and I'm talking about in this instance for him, but then he could turn around and very much stab this person in the back for your position. It could go to that particular type of extreme. So, probably a couple more things that we're going to talk about, and then I'll take questions if you guys have questions. But let's talk about this Pluto in the fourth house. Okay. Now, he has Moon in Leo. His Moon is making an aspect to his Jupiter in Aries. Remember, I talked about before that Moon Jupiter aspects can definitely be one where you can get support from the public. So we went over that. I'm not really interested. I'm interested in this Pluto in the fourth house. Because Pluto in the fourth house can be a placement where you can have a domineering mother because it still is falling under a Cancer house, and we know Moon Pluto aspects can kind of bring that type of dynamic when it pertains to your mother, but it also can be power struggles and control issues when it comes to your relationship. Also manipulation, especially emotional manipulation, can come with this particular aspect. Secrets, family secrets. There may be hidden or repressed family secrets that come to light, leading to emotional transformation and healing, or at least that is what should be happening. Because also, the fourth house is an ancestral house. Your ancestors here, and I believe eighth house can be where your ancestors are found as well. So, with the fourth house being tied to like your ancestors, with Pluto being here, this also can be a position where you need to confront and heal ancestral patterns or traumas that have been passed down through generations. So, just based off that little bitty snippet, maybe, I mean, again, entertainment purposes only, this is speculation. Hopefully, this isn't something that he unfortunately had to experience or witness throughout his own family. And in turn, you took it as this is okay behavior. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, what he's being convicted of, if he saw this, if he's already witnessed this, and maybe different situations when it pertains to family, somewhere along the lines in your psychological being, you've told yourself that this is okay. When you know, right or wrong, you know it's not correct. You know that. And also with Pluto being in the fourth house, a person may go through a lot of major changes in their living situation or have a strong desire to transform their home environment. Something that he kind of is going through a little bit right now, especially because if we go back to his chart, go back here, he has Pluto right here in the fourth house. If we go back to his chart, we see his Pluto is also making an aspect, a square to his Cancer ascendant. Now we know ascendant is tied to the first house, so of course these particular secrets are going to affect the what? The face. And it's going these secrets are going to be and these secrets are going to be tied to Cancerian things, which is the what? The women, the public. Okay. There's more Cancer things, but those are the main gist. I mean, we know Cancer, home, real estate. Okay, so you know how the Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, they have submitted a report where it shows that he pretty much received, I don't know if we would call it bribes or if we would, he received money while you are sitting occupying this particular position in the Supreme Court. You cannot do that. That is not allowed. So maybe in a way, it may kind of like be the same thing when it pertains to Danny Masterson, where it could be, I mean, if this comes out, there may be reports about certain things tied to your home, certain things tied to how you accumulated your assets, or possibly how you got your home. Remember, this is a guy, in my opinion, this feels like a guy who has been living off of the favors of people that he has possibly blackmailed or that you have convinced them to trust you, even though you may very well be untrustworthy. Because of your Saturn being on that mentor, endurance, docile degree, you are buying your time. It's possibly like a woman who marries an older gentleman that you really don't care about, and you are buying your time because you know he's going to die and he's going to give you the money. It may be like that, but let's talk about this Pluto square ascendant. Now, when Pluto is squaring his ascendant, in this particular instance, this can bring about fears when it pertains to loss of father, or it can bring obsessive compulsive disorder. Very clean, very neat, someone that um like Scandal. It makes me think of, Huck in Scandal, the cleanup man. He's going to come in, clean up the mess, clean up the dead body, chop up the dead body, throw it in the river, whatever needs to be done to clean it up. It can go to that particular extreme. Because also with this particular aspect, this can be someone where dark and mysterious things are being infatuated with very intense or dangerous people like criminals or Jeffrey Dahmer types, or give me something, give me another one like Jeffrey Dahmer, something like that. You may find fascination in that, infatuation in that, and you may even kind of like start to model a little bit of your habits or things after said criminals. And with this particular aspect, which I just talked about like maybe 30 minutes ago, this can also bring a deep curiosity about things tied to bondage, dominatrix, submission, or other taboo. Didn't I talk about it was giving very dominatrix type of energy? I will reward you when you show me how loyal you are. Just saying. Because there is a powerful influence with this particular connection. And with this particular powerful influence, kind of makes me think that it can make other people scared of you because of the energy that you bring. All of a sudden, people change their mind about attacking you or bringing you to justice because they may be afraid of that powerful influence. It's very intense. And if you are not careful like you normally are, these moments of intensity can cause you to spiral out of control, which can also spiral into you being psychologically abusive. It can also spiral into you creating separation tactics for you to engage in certain acts or be a certain type of way towards people. The unconscious side or the negative side of this particular moon, excuse me, the negative side of this Pluto ascendant aspect can bring a stalker, person that goes to intimidation tactics, someone that can threaten your life, someone that may give you ultimatums, revenge, blackmail, conflict, violence. All of these things are the negative side of this particular aspect. But on the positive end, this aspect can make you highly competitive. But it can have a negative impact though whenever you talk about relationships with your parents, with your kids, with your wife, all that. And a lot of this is you subconsciously want to be in control because you have this fear that other people may try to control you first if you don't control them. So it's very dramatic and it can bring a lot of drama in your life because, like I said, you go to the unhealthy side of things. But also, this particular aspect can, a great researcher, you can probing questions. But I say it's like a kill. I don't know. I just said it. It's like a kill folder, or maybe even having information, damaging information on your victims, but you're keeping it in a folder. And if they step out of line, you take a picture of that folder, you send it to them. Like, do you remember what's in this folder? Try me if you want to. It can get to that point if the person does not do well at controlling the nature of Pluto, especially since his ascendant is on Cancer, on the moon, or in this instance, it's on Cancer. Okay, we don't have the exact time, but you get the point. Another good thing with this particular connection, you can be very persistent, which can lead to your success because you don't take no for an answer. And this same persistence can also be seen in these relationships with these powerful people that you may have because you are persistent, so persistent to the point where you have probed, you have become curious, you have dug into the natures of their lives. And again, now you have the kill folder. Click up, pictures taken. I've sent to this very powerful person. You are now in my detriment. You are now at the detriment of the sun. You better do what I say, or everything in this folder is going to come out. Do you want everything in this folder to come out? Of course you don't, because it would ruin your reputation. What do you think? You the mob? You the mafia boss or something? I don't know. Maybe because of the fact that this particular aspect can make you infatuated with like mob bosses, drug lords, like what's that what's the man's name, the really big drug dealer. I mean, there's a lot. It could be Al Capone. It could be any of those. It could be Griselda Blanco. I mean, it could be, who knows, Frank Lucas if you want to go there. Any of that. I don't know, Scarface, or that may be a movie that you like. Yes. So it's unfortunate that the good parts of people can be spoiled by their thirst for power. But a lot of his issue, oh, I think I want to talk about Mars in the 12th. A lot of his issue is it's a subconscious battle as usual when it comes to a lot of these celebrities that we've looked at. It is a subconscious battle almost between good and evil, especially with his Mars. being in the 12th house. Okay. So, with Mars being in the 12th house, he may be, well, this could bring a spouse or a partner into his life who could is argumentative. So, this feels like to me somebody where you end up getting a partner who ends up doing the dirty work for you because you want to remain the squeaky clean one, but your wife's argumentative energy, it could be towards your enemy. So for example, in this instance, I really wouldn't be surprised if it came out and they said that his wife was challenging these victims behind closed doors, because you're doing that because he told you to do that, or you're doing that because you feel like they're trying to break your relationship up, even if the proof is there and they're telling you and it fits along with the things that he's done to you. You don't care, because the wife in that instance who becomes argumentative, her point could be to change the victim's or the enemy's viewpoint, to try to turn them from detractors to protractors. It could be like that. And also with this placement, one can struggle with expressing their thoughts properly, and it also can create behavioral issues, especially whenever you are moody or irritated. There's a lack of self awareness when it pertains to this particular connection. It also can breed anger and resentment, which entail leads to what? Now you're pulling out the folders. You're angry, you're resentful, because sometimes Mars in the 12th house can be a lack of opportunities. So those lack of opportunities can definitely lead into this whole anger and resentment. And then what you start to do, here comes the kill folders. Okay. This also can be a position where you can build a natural hostility against other people that is in danger of becoming a part of the nature and could spoil your reputation and relations. Pretty much what's happening right now. It also can make you violent, wicked, and will keep you hurting your loved ones and family members. Now, of course, on a positive note, it gives you opportunity to explore a lot of different things, a lot of different avenues, a lot of different, I guess, sectors. You could travel to foreign places, gain a lot of money. Your subconscious mind can always be in that realm of trying to do something creative, want to do something active, having a hard time sitting still. I mean, maybe you can come up with some pretty interesting like scripts or pretty interesting ventures. There's nothing wrong with that, because you can be productive and you can get success. And a lot of this can come from a dream. The dream started it all. You have a dream about a particular movie, or you have a dream about a particular scenario, and now you put the dream to paper, boom, Oscar nominated film. It can be like that. But if the negative outweighs the bad, then unfortunately all people are going to remember is the negative. Woo, okay. So, I think that was pretty much. Oh, I didn't look at the degree of the Pluto, did I? Pluto is on 10 degrees Libra. The 10th degree is tied to Capricorn, so it kind of goes along the lines of what I was talking about with the career and authority figures. Let's look at the deacon. So Capricorn, 10 degrees. Is on the second degree, okay? Second deacon, excuse me, which is ruled by Venus. So friendly, agreeable, energetic, enthusiastic, tender-hearted, and prideful. It's a shame though that that is completely getting glossed over by your bad attributes. But unfortunately, a lot of people may feel that being good gives me nothing but poverty. So why would I be good when I can be bad and be, diving into the riches of the world, you know? So let's take a look and see if his Pluto is fixated on a fixed star. Pluto, 10 degrees Capricorn. Let's share this tab so we can read this together. Yes, right here. Faces, blindness, violent death, sickness, accidents, leadership, war, coldness, detachment, perfectionism, earthquakes, pure combative energy, risk taker, glamour, seeks fulfillment through charitable works. I think that would be a lie, but it may not necessarily be a lie. the charitable works could be actually true. But that's the eighth degree. Okay. Let's read the actual definition for the 10th degree of Capricorn. Excuse me, why did I put this on Capricorn? I meant Libra. See, I'm in the wrong spot because I was thinking 10 degrees is Capricorn. Scratch what I just said. The 10th degree of Libra. Okay, so this is different. Okay, Vendemiatrix. So falsity, folly, disgrace, stealing, widowhood, depression, witch hunt. He probably is saying that a lot. This is a witch hunt. This is a witch hunt. Like, I don't know about that, Jack. There probably are more, but they may have been possibly afraid to come forward. Mysticism and the occult. So this is, and actually, this fixed star is an exact conjunct on top of his Pluto. So this is a problem. Widowhood, depression, especially since his Pluto is in the fourth house tied to family. I really hope that that isn't the situation that possibly his wife has possibly been going through a lot, or just family period. Very depressing. Hopefully not to the point where you are wanting to like unalive yourself, because that would suck. But this is like, because you're in the detriment of this particular energy, it's hard to escape, breathe nonetheless. And this one, we'll take this one: suave, well bred, personal charm, dissipation, dramatic ability, the wreath of jewels in Bernice's hair. So that's not bad. You get the money, you know. Um, where was I going? Oh, yes. Let's read the definition of 10 degrees Libra. A man with a black face but with white hands and feet tries to jump on a centaur which holds a bow and arrows. This man symbolizes duality, changes, and sometimes opportunism and hypocrisy. The centaur represents independence, idealism, courage, and sometimes boastfulness and conceit. The natal chart indicates which drawing is relevant. In both cases, success is achieved through personal efforts, good luck, and marriage. This degree often indicates that the father is a foreigner or an important man whose social status is much higher than that of the mother. In some cases, the father dies before the child is born, or the birth occurs out of wedlock. What did I say about that Pluto in the fourth house? Where you may be subjected to this type of behavior. Power dynamics. You may have experienced that very early on, where you see that, oh, they got away with it. It was okay. It may even possibly happen right in front of you, and they made it out to be like it was okay. So this could definitely, like the text was saying, it could definitely be a generational thing, since your Pluto is situated in the house of ancestors. I hate to say it, like father, like son. You don't want that to be the case, but we're not going to rule it out. Or this could be someone that you look at or look to as a father. And the same thing can be true, like father, like son. So I know I pretty much talked the whole time, but I just had to get it out. So, questions. Do you guys have any questions about the chart that we looked at? I'm still debating if I'm going to um I'm still debating if I'm going to do a reading on Ashton Kutcher. I might, because he has, in a way, something to do with this particular case, because he wrote a letter. So I might do a composite chart with these two, because the way that the letter was written, it's coming across that Ashton and him are like buddy, buddy, buddy. So who knows what that particular relationship entails, but it could be interesting for us to see, you know. So yeah, I mean, I pretty much talked the whole hour and a half, no breaks. But I just let it flow. And whoever made this suggestion, I appreciate that. Drop more suggestions, people, please. I would prefer to do charts that you guys have requested instead of doing it on my own, because it just doesn't go that well sometimes whenever I do it on my own. So please don't forget to drop your suggestions of things or charts that you want me to look at. I appreciate you for being up with me. Um, since this morning. I know it's still kind of early for some of you guys, but as always, I appreciate that. Don't forget to hit the like on your way out the door, and I will see you guys later.